The coupe came with a masseuse.
I hope everyone's doing well and welcome back to another video. So it's not the sort of usual type of video today, right? I just come across something very interesting and I thought it'd be great to make, a video on, because it's a great opportunity, right? And before I get into this, I know I'm an affiliate for MyFundedFX, but this is genuinely being objective. I was initially only going to make this video for my private mentorship, but I thought, you know what, let me share it out with everyone, because I do think this account that they've created a new one-step program, is going to be great for a lot of people, especially the people that have studied my own mentorship, where, I try to teach consistency and smaller wins rather than home runs. And, this account really slots in well with that. Right, so let's get into it. Cool. Now, first I want to draw your attention over here. This is essentially a one-step program, right? One-step evaluation account. Now, why is this special, right? The biggest thing that draws my attention is the drawdown. Usually, one-step programs have trailing drawdown, which makes it very hard to manage risk. There's always a constant pressure on you to, not lose any money and keep making it. And even the withdrawals, because the drawdown is trailing, can be very annoying, right? Because they'll eat into your drawdown. So you have to be very careful, right? So on this, right, the same as a sort of phase one on a two-step evaluation, the normal funded accounts that everyone trades, the profit target is 8%. The daily drawdown is 2%, which is quite small. Right, we'll get to that in a second. The max daily profit you can have is 2%, which may put a lot of people off, but we'll speak about it. News trading is allowed on the phases, same as their other accounts. On the actual live account, it is not allowed, again, same as the other accounts. Right? There's no time limit, and the payout split is 7 days, and the profit split is 80%, which is, again, same as the other accounts, which is very good. So cool. Let's break it down, right? 8% profit target, great. Right? Most one steps, you will see bigger profit targets. You might see 10%, right? Typically, you see something along those lines. You have the trailing drawdown. It's a lot more difficult. Now, the daily drawdown, you can only have 2%. However, it is a soft breach. What that essentially means is, right, when you lose 2% in the day, you cannot trade until the following day, right? Now, despite what a lot of people might think, right, I think this is actually a great thing. A lot of people, when they have that 5% daily drawdown, tend to sort of just take a trade, lose, until they get to maybe 4%, maybe even 4.5%, and then say, oh, you know what, I'm going to blow my account and restart. With a 2% limit, that limit gets hit a lot faster, and you're forced to stop trading until you collect yourself, and then you have the next day where you're fresh and you can go back in, right? Now, what some people might be put off by, like I said, is the daily profit, right? You can only have maximum 2% in a day. Now, I understand why somebody may be annoyed by this. Sometimes you catch a good trade, a big trade, and you might be able to hold it. But like I said at the first part of the video, this program is for consistent traders, right? It forces you to sort of, focus on your just normal sized wins and consistently get them. Yeah. Now, a good way to sort of weigh up funded accounts is how much drawdown is available and what your profit target is and what that ratio comes out to. So the ratio here is 1-to-1, which is actually very good, right? You need to make 8%, you can lose 8%. There's a profit, sort of cap, but there's also a drawdown cap. So it's very balanced out in a way, right? And I think that's what makes it such a great account. Now, the first thing I spoke about is, if you learn from the way I teach, then this should be great for you, right? This should be something that probably gels well. A lot of the winners, right, for example, if you're like an OTE trader, will range in that 1 to 2R anyways, right? Maybe slightly over 2R sometimes, but for me personally, it's usually just around 2R, right? Unless I'm scaling and not adding positions. So essentially what you have to do is catch a handful of winners here, and you need to minimize your losses, right? So in terms of passing this count, I think it may be very easy for some people, and we'll get into exactly how you can do that in the next part. What we can speak about is here, right, of course, they've touched on it from the actual MyFundedFX account. There's no trailing drawdown, like I said, which is usually applied on a lot of one-step accounts. There's no consistency rules, right? You can't be denied payouts for gambling. So what do they mean by this? On certain accounts, people may risk like 3%. enter a position goes great, and then the funding company is like, you know what, you've gambled this, you don't trade like this, you know, you just took a long shot and it worked, we're not going to pay you out. That can't happen with this account because there's a profit cap. They've pre-calculated how much they're going to be able to pay you, right? So they know they can afford to do this if you pass the account, if you make the payouts. On top of that, your payout withdrawal is actually 7 days. So if you make 2% that week, right? So just in one day you hit your profit target, you can just wait for that payout. Right? It's great. You don't have to wait that 14-day period. Then we have the price. The pricing is great because usually I believe the two-step 100K starts at $500, right? So this is $100 cheaper. It's one phase and the stats are very similar. There's no hard breaches, meaning you can't blow your account unless you hit the maximum drawdown, right? And like I said, the account promotes consistency and longevity, right? It makes traders focus on minimize the losses, get regular winners, and just stay in the game, right? Some misconceptions people might have had: this is just a new program. It's been added to everything they already sell. It is not for new traders, especially when you go live. This is more for intraday scalpers, I would say, or intraday traders. You don't have to be a scalper necessarily, but someone who trades fairly often rather than looks for one single week. Why? Because you have a maximum profit cap, right? As a swing trader, you might be able to get in there, catch one trade and hit 4 or 5 R or something. But with this, that's going to be difficult because you're capped out at 2% for one singular day, right? And 3, very important, this might not appeal to everyone. Like I said, if you are a swing trader, if you trade the weekly candle itself, this is not going to be the account for you. But I believe, the way I've taught, a lot of the teachings are intraday based. This is going to apply to a lot of you guys who have watched my YouTube who do trade like this, right? And of course, some extra points there. Of course, they understand, I understand as well. It's not for everyone, just in a general sense, but for the people that can capitalize on this, I think it is a great account. For my own private mentorship, I'm going to speak to you guys separately as well. But, this is probably one of the best programs, in my opinion, I have seen brought out by any of the funding companies, right? So, yeah, it's a great opportunity. So now, approaches to trading the account, right? What you can do is you can look to build a buffer. What does that mean? We've spoken about this before in a video talking about how to trade your funded account. Your buffer is essentially from break even when you're given the account. You go in with low risk, you look to build yourself up maybe 1%, 2% before you go to maximum risk, right? Or whatever your maximum risk is, you might go to 1% or scale up higher than that. That's, the typical way I would recommend people approach funded accounts, especially a live account, right? On your phase, right, on your challenge phase, some people may look to do a much more aggressive risk and low RR approach. What could that look like? That could look like risking 2% but aiming for 1-to-1s, right? You may build yourself a buffer still. You may build yourself maybe a 1% buffer and then you risk 2% and just aim for a 1-to-1 R. Why? Because if the 1 R hits, you hit your daily profit target, right? In regards to withdrawals when you're live, again, like I mentioned, it's every 7 days, so you do not have to do a lot. If you buy the right, account size, for example, let's just say you go with 100K, you make your 2%, 80% goes your way, you can just wait that 7-day withdrawal, be very sensible with it, and repeat that again and again and again. And again, cost efficiency as well just ties into the same point, right, guys? $400 for this, I think, is a bargain. I hope they don't reprice it, but if you have the correct approach to this account, if you do it sensibly, a lot of you guys should be able to capitalize on this, right? Lastly, I believe they're launching the account. They said this weekend. I don't think they've given a specific, time for the time being. But when they do launch it, I will post it on all my socials. I will leave you guys with that little message. You can buy it here. It's out now. So that is pretty much it for this video. As usual, here's all my socials. If you guys have any questions at all, just drop me a message.